Welcome, innocents, everyone. Welcome, Thomas, Martin, Juan. Welcome on this holy day. He is the Lord's Welcome be ye candlemas, welcome be the Queen of Grace. Welcome be to more or less, welcome on this holy day. He is the Lord's Welcome to ye that are here, welcome all and make good cheer. Welcome all another year, welcome on this holy day. He was our
It was basically the whole controversy was, if I can use the word, really stupid. It was just stupid. I mean, why not keep somebody that incredibly successful and is loved by everybody? It never made any sense to me, and I know there were reasons, and I know you can make cases here and there, and part of it was the doctorate again, and but I never did understand why there was controversy. But to Sara's credit, she never, in my recollection, she never badmouthed anybody.
When I came to UK, I came in as an assistant professor. The ranks in academia are instructor, assistant professor, associate professor, and full professor. So I came in from North Carolina as an assistant professor. Well, the tenure was set up so that you you could be here. I think it's 5 years. This is a little vague in my mind, but I think it's 5 years. And on the 6th year, you had to apply for your tenure, which meant that if you were in research, you had to show what research you were doing. In a performance, what performing you did. In music education, what you were doing. You had to fill out all of this stuff to be promoted. Well, so you were either promoted, given tenure, or you were given a year's leave to find a job, and then you were out. So I was up for tenure along with, I believe it was 6 men. It may have been 7, but I'm pretty sure it was 6 men. Well, people were getting notice, these guys were getting the notice that they'd gotten tenure, and everybody was so happy, and I hadn't heard anything. And Dr. Henderson called me in. He was the chair of the fine arts at that time. He called me into his office, and I sat down, and he said, "Miss Holroyd, I'm sorry to tell you, but you did not get tenure." And I was absolutely shocked. I cannot tell you how shocked I was. I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "That means that you will be given a year's leave to find a job, and then you will be out." Well, I just got up and walked out and burst into tears. I'd never had a failure like that in my life. So I walked from the Fine Arts Building to where Mildred Lewis lived on Arlington Avenue, and she was my predecessor at UK, and I just loved Millie. She was a great person, and I talked to her. Then I came back and I talked to Don Ivy, and he was absolutely shocked. And I told Phyllis, and Phyllis equally is shocked. They just couldn't believe it.
Welcome, Stephen, welcome, John, welcome, innocents, everyone.
after a day passed, I got to thinking about it, and I began to get mad about this. I said, why am I chosen when I want to know exactly why I didn't get tenure. Just not that I didn't get it. Why didn't I get it? Because I was in charge of the music education vocal program. I had a couple of performing organizations. I had a minimum of research because it's not much you can research on in music education. But anyway, I said, I want an appointment with the Dean of Arts and Sciences. Music was in under Arts and Sciences at that time. So I made an appointment with Dean Nagel, and I went in and I spoke to him, and I said, Dean Nagel, I want to know why I didn't get tenure. He said, because you don't have the doctorate. I said, Dean Nagel, I have everything but for 2 courses. These men had no tenure. Why just me? I said, they're in performing. Why me? I said, I will not accept this. That is not a reason why. And so Dawn Ivy and I started putting our heads together to fight this. And there was no appeals process at that time. And so I have always been the kind of person that when I get a message from anybody in the administration, I always file it away and keep it. And some of these things that I found would support my plea for, or I guess support my case for fighting this tenure bid. And then the Student Center paper picked up on it, and there was a long story in that I think Dawn Ivy wrote it, as a matter of fact. If it hadn't been for him, he was just a rock of Gibraltar to me. So anyway, there was a meeting of the students because they were all opposed to my getting axed, so to speak.
And she knew who the culprits were. She knew what was going on, but she never badmouthed anybody. And she was, from what I remember, reluctant to let the students take the part that they took, because that's just Sara. But the students were, from what I remember, they were determined. And I really think the students won the day for Sara. Their obvious influence on the administration, and it wasn't just the School of Music, it was beyond the school, from what I remember, that up the top level of the university, looking at her record, whatever they were looking at. I'm not sure what they were looking at. They obviously didn't hear her choir, but the students taking her part and saying, this is not somebody this university wants to lose. I think it won the day. I really do. I think Sara would agree with me. And she didn't promote that. That's not Sara. Sara wouldn't do that, but she didn't have to, because the students took it upon themselves.
And I said, we're going to win this somehow. We're going to win this, and I'm going to be here. And then Dr. Henderson came in and he said, Miss Holroyd will not win this. She will be gone. And so the faculty had a meeting about, and he told me, he said, we are going to have a meeting and your case will be brought up in front of the music faculty. And maybe it'd be better if you just didn't bother to come. And that was a big mistake I made, because I should have gone. But I didn't. I took him at his word. So Dawn Ivy called me. I was at home. He said, what have you got in your past that you have accepted Dr. Henderson's ruling that you're going to be dismissed? I said, what do I have in my past? I said, I've probably got the best past of anybody here in this building. And so I said, nothing. And so I regretted the fact that he was insinuating that there was something that I had done in the past that would make me accept my tenure denial. But I didn't. So I don't know exactly what all happened. I know that I had to go over across the campus to meet with about 6 attorneys in the law school. And Paul Oberst couldn't have been any nicer. He was such a gentleman. And I was over there answering their questions. I don't know how they got in on it, but I did what was asked of me. So anyway, then I must say that I had the best attendance at all my recitals that year because they thought it was my last year.
Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Yes, every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray.
The students wanted to protest. They wanted to go all over campus protesting. And I said, let's wait and let this play out first. Let's see what's going to happen. Because I didn't want to create a lot of confusion like that. I really didn't. But the students were so supportive of me, I couldn't have asked for any better. People wrote letters. Students that I had formerly had wrote letters. I think I kept them. I believe they're all in my tenure file. And so I appreciated that so much. Helped a lot. Because the AAUP was interested in this case too. People knew me on campus from all the performances that I did, and I don't, and from Don Ivy's wonderful letter, I just don't know that, I don't think they could understand what was going on.
Welcome to ye that are here. Welcome all and make good cheer. Welcome all another year. Welcome on this holy day.
Something happened that somebody called the dean of the college in Greensboro, at the University in Greensboro, North Carolina, Mary Mossman, and she must have told them something. And so they found a way to keep me by giving me tenure, but not giving me the raise that you get, nor the promotion to associate. They gave me tenure. You know, when something happens to you like that, you deal with it. And I kept a scrapbook on it, and I went along with my daily work, like I was convinced that I was going to win in the end, and I did. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me in a way. Well, it seems that they all started coming in as if it was all generated by students, as if it was their way of apologizing for how I had been treated. I don't know if that's the way, but that's the way I sort of looked at it at one time. But I received a Great Teacher Award, which was wonderful. I received an award as a Most Outstanding Woman on Campus. I received another award for, I don't recall what the others were, but I do remember the Great Teacher Award. I was the only woman with the other men in the picture. And I mean, it was exciting to get those awards. There was a appeals committee formed, and some good things came out of it. I myself, I know it was a terrible thing to happen, but it made me a much stronger person, and I do not regret having gone through that. When something hits you in the face, you just have to fight it and go on with whatever happens. And that's what I did, with the help of Don Ivy and Miss Janess. But I think it was 2 years later, Wesley Morgan came in as director of the School of Music, and I sang in his group. And one day he said, why are you not an associate professor? And I told him the story, and he said, well, we'll take care of that. So at the end of the year, I was promoted legally then to full professor and I got my raise. So that's my tenure story.
"'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free. 'Tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight." If you want to hear some beautiful renditions of this, go to YouTube and find Yo-Yo Ma, who is a famous cellist, and Alison Krauss, or Liza Benford, who is a Sara Holroyd singer. They are beautiful renditions of this tune. I'm grateful to those who've taken part to see that I'm receiving this award, and I congratulate the others gentlemen who have also received it. And thank you so much. It's a great honor to me, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
For 26 years, Professor Holroyd taught, inspired, and changed the lives of thousands of students who studied music and voice under the direction of her baton. After retiring from the UK and chasing a long-desired career goal of working in the medical field, Holroyd combined her skill sets in music and medicine to comfort, calm, and heal patients and families during times of great personal stress. The University of Kentucky is pleased to present Sara Holroyd, an honorary Doctor of Arts.
by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, the University Senate recommending, I am pleased to confer upon you the degree of Honorary Doctor of Arts with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto.